Hello and welcome to the You Are the Program podcast presented by Nudge Printing. This is Don Terrazzano. That is Brian Lewerke. That is Tyler Higbee. Michigan State is now 0-5 in the Big Ten, 3-5 overall after losing to Michigan 31-20 in a game where, to the neutral observer, I'm sure that was probably not a fun watch from from a non-Michigan or Michigan State perspective. It was just bad. I mean, bad.
Not good football all around. I mean, unless you're Justice Haynes or Jordan Marshall from Michigan, you didn't really do much this entire game. They rushed for 276, and that was the thing that we said in the pregame pod was we got to stop the run game and make Bryce Underwood throw the ball. And we didn't do that at all. They ran for 276. Underwood only threw for 86 yards. So when that happens, and that's kind of Michigan's MO, is they're just a running team. That's kind of what they're going to do. They have some good running backs. They have some good O-line, and they're going to force the ball down your throat. And that's exactly what they did. And we weren't able to stop them. And offensively, we weren't really able to get much going kind of throughout the course of the game.
Yeah, I mean, this game was another example of how this team has been unable to put together all three phases of the game. Early on, the defense kept you in it. The way this offense started, it would have been nice to get some sort of points going in the first two drives of the game when the defense stops them holds them to 3 points after that fumble by Childs and even the touchdown they gave up after that. But to come out of the gate, you spot them 10 points. It's tough to climb uphill the rest of the game. But like I said, the defense gave you a chance to win. And all that being said, it was great to be back on campus. Great to see you fellas. I feel like that weekend came and went too fast, but really enjoyed it. Great to be back on campus. East Lansing in the fall is it's tough to beat that.
Outside of the game and before the game, it was an elite day to be in East Lansing. And it's those days that you just want a good football team to capitalize on it. I mean, we're talking, it was 50, sunny. You know, that was the most full I felt like I've seen campus. We were at the Ohio State game last year, and obviously, you know, with the Michigan State game, there's a lot of people that come to tailgate. And it was an elite day. I mean, the vibes could not have been better throughout campus, and it felt like for a moment, I don't want to say people forgot about the product of the football team, but it was just everyone was up there to enjoy, and that's what you could really tell throughout the tailgates. Nobody knew what was going to happen in that game, but yeah, for it not to be carried forward in that game was very, very disappointing. And especially, Tyler, you talked about the offense. I mean, we go to half 10-7, and I could not believe it was 10-7. You know, I could probably count 3, 4, 5 times that the offense could have gained momentum in the entire game. I mean, the stadium in the first half, we were talking about, it was ready to rally behind the team. Like there was pretty good energy. You know, the offense comes out on the first drive, first play, 8 yards, you attack the perimeter, bang. The next two play, and then I don't even know what we did on second down. Third down, Aiden Childs fumbles, and all of a sudden the energy's gone like that. It kind of felt like the Nebraska game to a point to where all the energy was sapped out early, and then all of a sudden somehow this defense kept you into the game to where it was 10-0, you score, you get the ball back. I think we had 2 or 3 chances when it was 10-7, especially the one right before half. Like you have a chance to gain a ton of momentum with any points going into half, either tie the game, take the lead. You don't do that, and then Michigan comes out and scores, and we'll talk about some of the officiating calls later. But, yeah, it just, again, a total lack of seizing the moment. And we talked about that a lot in the Nebraska game too, with you had a chance to seize the moment and take that game. And there's just pivotal points where this team does not do it. And that's probably what's most frustrating.
Yeah, we were talking about this before the podcast. It's difficult when you're at the game to really diagnose it and like kind of remember all the stuff that happens. It's a lot easier on TV because, you know, you're kind of a little more like you get to see more of the field. Like we were kind of in the end zone, not being able to see much. But I want you guys to take a guess how many plays or how many drives that we had over 6 plays, not including the last, 30 seconds left. How many plays did we have, or how many drives over 6 plays do we have?
I was going to say 4.
3 is mine.
We had 2.
Jesus.
And the last drive of the game was a 9-play, 75-yard touchdown to cover the spread. But yeah, we had 2 drives that went over 6 yards, or over 6 plays. So that's just not sustainable football. It's tough to get a rhythm as a play caller. It's tough to get a rhythm as an offense. And it puts a lot of pressure on your defense to continue. And they played great in the first half. It was a 3-point game at halftime. They did a great job of keeping us close and kind of giving us a chance to win. And it gets tough as defense to have to continue to do that and go back out, and the offense isn't really able to sustain drives. You get tired and whatnot. So just not a recipe for winning football.
It's so frustrating because, like, at times this offense shows flashes, and I mean this team as a whole, they show flashes of how good they could be. And with that throw by Childs to Marsh down, was that like mid-second quarter? I don't remember exactly the time of the game, but he threw it right in the hole in between the safety and the corner, and it was a beautiful throw. Marsh stepped out like at the half-yard line, ended up scoring. But there's flashes there. This offense can be so good, and then there's other times where stuff gets misdiagnosed. Guys are running free. The TFLs, we've talked about the TFLs all season. It's hard to play from behind the chains. And you mentioned it, Dante. I feel like the crowd, even compared to the Ohio State game last year, like it felt like it was definitely a sellout. But like I was even looking at the student section. Student section was as full as I've seen it. I mean, maybe since we were there. Like every big game we've come back for, yeah, it might be a sellout, but the student section is not even full. But it definitely was this weekend. I think they were just waiting to erupt for something, and it felt like we took a step forward and then 2 steps back the whole game, which was disappointing.
And that's really gonna be like I don't want to say defining moment in Jonathan Smith's tenure, because there's been a lot, but a lot in a bad way. But again, I go back to that lack of seizing the moment. He has needed to do something for 2 years. And I preface this whole discussion, we've talked about it a lot. Everyone's talked about it. We hate firing coaches, or even having the discussion of firing a coach in year 2. I don't think it should be done in principle, but at the same time, you have a crowd, and for everything that's bad, that was a very, very winnable game. And I didn't mean to throw any shade at Michigan when I tweeted out from our account earlier saying Michigan played a 4 out of 10 football game probably and won by double digits. That's just like, overall, this was not the worst game we've played this year by any stretch. The defense, Brian, to your point, kept us in it for a large majority of that game, first half especially, even into the second half. I mean, we're down, 24-7 when we decide not to. There was a couple times we didn't decide to kick field goals. We'll come back to that later in terms of, I don't know what the thinking was on some of the decision-making late in that game, but, the defense stands tall. Let's talk about the offside call now and some of the officiating. I think both things can very much be true. There was some awful, whether it was missed calls or made calls. There was 2 PIs that I could probably point out, but most blatantly, and everyone's going to remember it, is the offsides call. It just doesn't go in your favor. And yeah, it's a 50-50 close one. I don't think he was offsides, but that's happening so bang bang, and it's right on top of it, that you could not find a more perfectly timed blitz. And the defense stands up, makes that play, and then all of a sudden, the whole crowd, and I remember turning to you guys, I think, Tyler, you were still walking up from the concourse from halftime, and I turn around and all of a sudden it was 3rd down again somehow. It's just, I
remember walking up, or I was waiting to watch that play because I didn't want to block people's views. So I watched it. I'm like, oh, hell yeah. We got a fumble, we got the ball back. So I'm trying to hurry back up to up to our seat. And then I see that they still have the ball. I'm like, what's going on? And then my other issue is they need to start showing more replays in that stadium. There was a lot of times I feel like we were all asking to show the replay or show a different angle.
Yeah, and it is a bang bang play, and it's fortunate for us that we got like a good play off of that, but it's unfortunate that like that play kind of happened on and off sides, that it was controversial because it just made the whole call even bigger. And it's like, I will say, it is tough as a ref to see that in like real time, and it probably looks offsides if you're moving at the exact same time as the ball. So I'm not like up in arms about that call. It just sucks that it was such a big play for us. And it seemed like the offsides call like happened a little late, or else they just didn't announce it to the stadium until the crowd had to cool down. But everyone was kind of confused for like a solid like minute trying to figure out what was going on.
Well, I know that play was big and obviously a momentum shift. I almost had a bigger issue with the no call on Nick Marsh.
Yeah.
That was so egregious and
Yeah.
obviously so early. Like the contact was so much earlier than when the ball got there. I don't know how you don't throw that flag. I feel personally, this may be a biased take, but I feel like that gets called 99 out of 100 times in college football, and it wasn't in that instance. Would have been a first down, would have kept the drive going. Who knows what would have happened the rest of the game, but obviously you would have liked to pick up that first down right there.
I'm trying to remember at what point in the game that was. I can't remember if that was the drive right before half or the drive before it. I think it was 10-7 at that point. I can't remember. But the reason saying this is both things can be true. And it feels like, the Jonathan Smith tenure will be defined by maybe a lot of different things, but missed opportunities is the biggest one because we talked about this in the pregame. This was probably his, I won't say last chance because I guess if you went out from here, but this was one of your last chances to win a portion of the fan base back. I think there's a lot of the fan base that even if we had won that game would have been very, 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 very skeptical of him. I think all three of us included because you have to sustain that. But the fact that you come out in the way that you do, and that's my biggest issue with it, is the fact that you put yourself in a hole 10-0. I mean, we talked about it in the pregame, and I had said I would have been stunned if they did not come out and throw their best punch. And you can look at halftime and say 3-point game, 10-7, we're right in it. They threw a punch, but again, it was the missed opportunities in that half and just the way you put yourself behind the 8 ball that you couldn't get the crowd fully into it. You couldn't get momentum rolling downhill. And that's my biggest issue with it. And then, it's just frustrating. I mean, there's a ton of mistakes that were made. We had over 100 penalty yards in the game. Some of which I thought were questionable, some of which were just dumb. And it is what it is. But I just, this tenure has been a huge struggle. But one thing I will talk about at a later point on this podcast is the Twitter universe is a tough look right now. It is tough.
Go ahead, Tyler.
Well, I was going to say prior to the game, it was tough. And even more so now after the game with all these coaches getting fired around the country. And I mean, I don't know, like you said, Dante, firing a coach midseason is bad, but it's just not a good look. The Twitter, everything that's going on Twitter right now is
none of it is helping. And no. I will even throw Spartan great, Spartan legend, Magic Johnson into that realm. I mean, he's probably connected somehow, and I don't know if someone asked him to make that tweet. Well, I'm not even saying probably connected. Obviously, he is connected to the university, but he hasn't tweeted about Michigan State football all year. I don't know how much support he gives to Michigan State football. But it doesn't help. Like nationally, I don't think anyone even notices how big of a deal this is. I was listening to a national podcast earlier today that was talking about the Brian Kelly coaching decision. And someone had brought up the fact that, well, a Michigan State job might be his next move. And they were even like, well, is Michigan State even going to open this year? And there was some, discussion. Well, maybe it does. But it was kind of like thrown out. Nationally, this doesn't look like as big of a issue. And I know locally that doesn't mean that it makes it any better, but it is incessant on Twitter right now between who should be the next coach. And we haven't even made a decision on this coach. And I understand that people are out on it. None of it helps. And it makes it a lot worse to go through the football season. But I will say, as fans now and former members of the program, it's frustrating, and I can't blame anyone for feeling the way that we do. I feel like we've talked about that, and we've let our stance known on the coaching staff as well. But it's just it's tough to look at Twitter every day and see the pain.
Yeah, and my whole thing is you might have to get used to the fact that Jonathan Smith is going to be back for year 3. I mean, I don't know if a decision will be made after this year. Just strictly based off when you're looking around the country and all the big job openings that there are, it's gonna be tough to get a guy to choose Michigan State over those schools.
I have a different take on that, but continue.
Okay. Though, like, one of the main reasons that I could see that Jonathan Smith would be gone would be just because Jay Batt is a new athletic director and he wants to get his guy, and the head coach of a football program at a D1 school is a big reflection of him and kind of how he runs things. So that would be the main reason I could see that. Obviously, if you lose out and go 3-9 this season, that's not going to help whatsoever. And, some decision could be made and you take a chance on a, smaller school type coach. I mean, obviously we have some big funds, Michigan State does, and we can go out and, get a coach with the top schools, but it could be Jay Batt's in a place that I do not envy whatsoever and trying to figure out what to do with this whole situation.
Did you want to go first, Dante, or I was going to say something else about it too?
You go. I have my point.
Well, I was going to ask a question. Like we played with Coach D. You guys remember every season he kind of broke the season down into phases. Phase 1 was fall camp. Phase 2 was first 4 games, then the next 4 games, and then this final phase was phase 4. And these last 4 games for Jonathan Smith, like this team's 3-5. The last phase, this team finds a way to get to 6-6. You win 3 of these last 4 games. I think he's most certainly coming back next year. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, but now seeing where the rest of the country's at and the conference is at, you do anything less than that, what do you think the vibe is after the season?
Well, I don't think the vibe can get worse than it is right now.
It can always get worse.
I
don't. I think this has been rock
okay.
bottom.
What if you don't win another game the rest of the year? What if you lose the next 4 games still? You finish the season.
I just don't see the vibe getting any worse than what it is right now. Everything gets analyzed under a microscope between decisions and the camera pans to Jonathan Smith, which, again, I'll continue to call that out. Like, yeah, it's really, really easy when you don't have a good football program to look at what the head coach's mannerisms are on the sideline. But I guarantee you can probably find a handful of coaches that are in the top 20 that there's camera pans over to them. They have their arms crossed, not saying a word to anyone. And I get that that's more of his general vibe than any other coach. I just don't like that that's being used. You can call out any number of things about Jonathan Smith and how his tenure has gone here at Michigan State to say that's more of an issue than he's not a culture fit because he's not getting after guys. So that's one thing that I don't like. I agree. I don't know how much worse it could get a lot worse and probably will at 3-9. It's hard to go look at the general fan base perspective on Twitter and think people are going to be complaining more than we are right now, or people are going to be speculating more about a specific head coaching candidate that
must not be named.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like there's not a bad vibe. I don't want to even waste our time talking about that because that's what Twitter blew up into for 10 hours today. And that's probably going to continue. So there's a long way left to go. There's another month left in the season. I don't see it. Brian, back to your point on the landscape of the jobs that are open in college football. And there's going to be more that are going to open. I think we're all probably in agreement of Florida State's going to open as well. 99% sure on that one. I think, and then obviously you get the domino effect of some of those other schools. But I want to read you off the Athletic had, and this is, again, take it with a grain of salt. It's what is it? October 27th. The head coaching vacancies that are open that are ranked is LSU number 1, Penn State number 2, Florida number 3, and then after Florida you get to Arkansas. Then after Arkansas you get to UCLA. Like those are your top 5. I understand that our job is not going to scratch the surface of an LSU or a Penn State or a Florida, but my thought process on if Michigan State's open, I don't know how many more Big Ten teams get rid of their coach this year. I don't know how many openings there are north of Kentucky, because I think Kentucky's probably going to open as well. And if I'm Michigan State right now, I don't want a coach that does not know the Midwest. And I don't think that they're like the Southern schools, like you see in LSU, they're not going to go get another coach that doesn't know that area. They're not
with a fake Southern accent.
Yeah, they're not going to go do that. Do you think Florida's going to get a group of 5 guy after Billy Napier just did what he did for 4 years? No. So like I don't think we're going to be ranked in the top 6 or 7. I don't know however many jobs get open, but like we need to find someone that is Michigan State. We need to find someone, and we've talked about this before. It's been my biggest point. Find someone that the university can believe in, but like that donors can believe in, that can move the athletic department forward. And oh, by the way, it's not just the head coach, it's the university and the athletic department as a whole that needs to get behind it. Because when you see Magic Johnson, is he worth $1 billion now?
Probably.
Like, don't go complain about something. How about you do something about the athletic department? Like, how about you go fundraise $30 million towards something that you want? Like, if this is a product that means something to you, I don't think it's fair to take pot shots at a head coach that you probably have never met in your life, nor have seen a rooting interest in the football program. I have never seen him really talk about the football program unless it's good. Like, you have the means to go do that. And I think that's kind of cheap of him to take a shot at Jonathan Smith when, yeah, nothing's going good. But that's why I feel like someone had to get in his ear about making that statement. And, oh, by the way, there was also a national article written about the Michigan State head coaching job. So there's probably going to be more steam on it, but it's just a frustrating landscape. And, you know, for us, obviously, to talk about it twice a week becomes very tough. But, you know, I will say one thing. There's one company that we do not find frustrating. One thing that we do not find frustrating right now, and that is Nudge Printing. Their presenting sponsor. Did you give me a Mike Breen bang right there?
Almost a double bang.
They're our presenting sponsor, and additionally, they were part of our giveaway last week. We were very, very thankful to them for providing a couple of shirts. I think Brian, I got to mail a couple out this week to our winners from last week in the shirt giveaway, our Nudge Printing shirt giveaway, where you needed to guess the correct score or the closest score to the Bowling Green and Michigan State exhibition game. And we actually were lucky enough to have, I believe, Aaron. Let me get this one right.
Yeah, it was Aaron.
Aaron was
stopped by.
She almost had it on the nose, and she actually stopped by, and her and her family, and we were talking to them for quite a few. It was probably 30 minutes to an hour, and it was great for her to stop by and her family. And that's what we want to continue to do. I know this was, again, a last minute kind of thing where we did the giveaway, but we want to continue to bridge the gap. We're going to always come back once a year as much as we can, and we don't have any intentions on not doing that. It's something we enjoy, but big shout out to Aaron for stopping by and being a part of our day. It was a lot of fun to get to meet her and her family, her dad, who's a longtime season ticket holder. So back to Nudge Printing, though. If you are looking for the perfect Spartan gear, you need to check out Nudge Printing. I know I was wearing one of their shirts this weekend, the old 2000 national champion basketball script shirt this weekend. I believe you fellas, Higby, I believe you were wearing that nice bone Gruff Sparty quarter zip for most of the day.
The shirt underneath it, the Nudge Printing t-shirt, and that bone color quarter zip. My new favorite quarter zip, by the way.
Same. I have that same one. It's great.
It's not just like comfortable gear and quality gear. And I'll continue to say this. Like I bought one of their polos and stuff before we had partnered with them, but like, it's not also breaking the bank. You go to some of these other brands, you're probably spending $130, $140 for a nice quarter zip. Not at Nudge Printing, though. It is made locally right here in mid-Michigan. So when you wear their gear, you are supporting local craftsmanship with a true Spartan spirit. We'll never not shout them out, ad read or not. Great people there, great company and great stuff that they have. So I did want to talk about transitioning out of the ad read. One of the things I did want to talk about, let's focus on our opponent. It feels like we've kind of done a lot more going around the Big Ten, talking about some of those teams. And I don't think Michigan played a very good game. I think we talked about this at halftime too. I can't believe some of the decisions that they make with Bryce Underwood specifically. Brian, you talked about it. He was 8 of 17. It felt like a very simple game plan that they were throwing out there in terms of, we know we can run the ball on them. We don't think they can score more than 21 to 24 points on us. Let's not do anything to shoot ourselves in the foot. Let's not make a mistake in this game. And that's exactly what they did. But there was so many times in that game where they were super, super conservative. And like it was to the point where we are more frustrated with our performance because it felt like such a winnable game because of how Michigan played. And I couldn't really believe how ultra conservative they were being and some of the decision making that they had. I came away not super impressed, and we've talked about it. They're a very high floor team. I don't know how high their ceiling is, but I don't know how high their ceiling is this year, but a large part of that is what I feel like they do to handcuff Bryce Underwood.
Yeah, and it would be nice to be a Michigan fan in that sense, where you can do all this stuff and your 5-star quarterback is not really doing anything, and you're still winning football games, especially a game against your rival. And I know Michigan fans I've seen on Twitter are kind of complaining about what's going on with them too, but it's nice to be able to do that when you're still able to win the game. But yeah, I mean, I think they're still kind of handcuffing Bryce Underwood and not letting him really open up the game. And again, it's nice that you can rush for 270 yards and still be able to do that. But if they obviously want to be, a team that goes places, they're going to have to let Bryce kind of do his thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, it's nice when you can just rely on that run game. You don't have to rely on him to go win you a game. They haven't needed that from him yet, and that's what we talked about last week. That was one of our keys, was make Bryce Underwood beat you. And like you said, Brian, we weren't able to do that. But I remember, Dante, early in the game, we're watching it, and like we just couldn't believe some of the play calls that they had. Really kept Michigan State in the game. I mean, you talk about that field goal, so having to make them settle for a field goal there on the first drive, and then their second drive they scored. But like even then, like they had some plays that are just scratching your head. Like what are we doing? I don't know. I mean, listen. I wasn't mad about it. It kept us in the game, but like they do some real questionable stuff.
It was just ultra conservative in nature, but most head scratching was, you just hit on it. The first drive of the game where they're 3rd and 3 at the 3-yard line. And I believe they picked up a 4th down earlier on that drive on 4th and 1, and were just chipping away 2-3 yards. I don't think they got any TFLs against them. But on 3rd and 3, I believe they went to either a straight drop pass or a play action pass where you just pound the ball twice there. Like you're not thinking about throwing the ball. So that's where it's weird that they didn't go ultra conservative in that moment, because I can almost guarantee you we weren't going to stop them needing 3 yards in 2 plays. Yet they threw the ball, and then not only throw the ball on 4th and 3, then they just kicked the field goal. And there, it was some of those things that were really weird. The conservative nature on 3rd and longs, again, it was probably more of the fact that they played with the lead. But I think all 3 of us would agree that I don't know how much that's helping progress Bryce Underwood at the same time, because this is a game that, like, at some point you need to have him learn to make mistakes. And specifically, I'll point out 2 of their losses, the Oklahoma game and the USC game. He has not played well in either of those big time spots. And this is a game against a defense that's not very good, to where it is still a big game. It's your rivalry game. You're going to have to play well in it. There's a lot of emotion in it. And they kind of took the ball out of his hands. They took the air out of the ball in terms of, we're going to play how we know that we can win this football game. And there's credit there, but I think are they looking big picture with him, or are they just trying to conserve for this year? Because, yeah, your chances of losing the game are a lot less in that type of formula that you have against Michigan State, because you take the turnover variance out of it. But, in terms of you're going to have to beat Ohio State, I would assume you're going to have to throw the ball a lot more, especially I don't think Michigan's offensive line is as good as it's been in years past. You're going to have to make some plays through the air, and it just felt like they took the ball out of his hands a lot and almost played to our benefit for a large majority of that game, except our offense could not answer anything.
Yeah, and I bet Bryce Underwood is a pretty happy man that he didn't end up going to LSU with the whole debacle they got going on down there, which I want to touch on real quick. The former players for LSU are absolutely pooping on Brian Kelly. They clearly did not like him, and it's kind of hilarious. But I just want to
I saw something that said they weren't even allowed in the facility, like former players and stuff. Like they're saying, at least let former players back in the facility now, whoever this new coach is, which is pretty wild to think about that. Like if we weren't allowed in the building right now, that'd be wild.
Yeah,
I've heard some things about how he runs a program, have some Notre Dame friends, and nothing like bad, nothing like, taking them out and calling them out, but he just operates differently. And he's kind of more of a CEO type. He's hands off. I don't think he's got as much deep relationship with the players, and that was probably something that shows out through there. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know where this Michigan team goes. Honestly, I think they're probably exactly what we thought before the year, a 9-3, 8-4 football team that's very solid. But I don't think they have that. I don't want to say I don't think they have that ceiling to elevate, because until Ohio State proves that they can show up and Ryan Day proves that they can show up in that game, I don't take it out of Michigan's control in terms of winning that game. But they're going to have to level up. I think they're going to have to level up on both sides of the ball. Defensively, I think they still have some gaps. I mean, Mekhi Frazier ran for 100 yards. And I don't even know how dominant it was from the Michigan State line of scrimmage. Dominant's the wrong word. But Mekhi Frazier made a lot of really good individual plays in that game. There was one run, his longest of the day, that was like 49-50. I think there was a massive hole. But besides that, he kind of made a lot of hay where there wasn't a ton. So a lot of credit to him. He probably was one of the standout players in that game just by how he had played. A couple other things from the game that stuck out. Offensive line-wise, Stanton Ramil played in the game. I don't know how many drives he actually played. I
think it was only a couple. I saw something after the game that said he tried to go, but was unable to. So I don't think it was much into the first half.
But again, it goes back to the head-scratching nature of Stanton Ramil plays, gets knocked out, and instead of going to the offensive line alignment that you had in the Indiana and I think UCL, I can't remember when Lepo had gotten hurt. I believe it was the Indiana game. The Indiana game, they started Connor Moore at left tackle, Rustin Young at right. And then Stanton Ramil gets hurt, and then Rustin Young comes in and plays left, and now Connor Moore is back at right. So, like, what is the thought process there on flipping those two tackles all the time? This is what we wanted from the start. When we knew that Ramil was going to be out, we wanted Rustin Young to play left, young guy, and they didn't do that until their hand was forced, and they still flipped him. So that's where I'm just a little confused.
I mean, I've been beating a dead horse all year about flipping the tackles, and it's not that easy. It's really not. But I'm not on the sideline, so
it's those little things too, to where, Brian, I know you talked about bringing them back for year 3. I've been pretty consistent in this as well, of saying I don't think the university and the athletic department has done everything that they can to make a coach successful. And that's what you want out of an athletic department in a university. But there's enough there on the list that says, don't think it's going to work. And that's where I can't blame anyone for thinking that way, because from the offensive line to how some of these games have gone, getting blown out in games that you shouldn't get blown out in, not capitalizing against Michigan in two games that were very winnable between last year and this year. I don't know if this one was as winnable, but the Nebraska game, like they haven't captured that moment. And for a coaching staff that's struggling to find their footing and maybe not a culture fit, it's a tough pitch to sell for year 3 to me. But all right. Anything else on this game?
I will end on a positive note. The stadium atmosphere during the game is awesome. The light show and the fireworks after touchdowns, the drone shows. That's the first time I've been able to experience it. And I think it's really awesome.
I think that was the first time they've done a drone show.
Was it really? Okay. I thought that was like a common thing.
Yeah, I think that drone show, that was a first for that. I wouldn't quote me on that, but I think you're right, Dante. But that was money well spent. The light show, the fireworks, just all that kind of stuff. That was well done.
Yeah.
We were clamoring for more drone shows, and they do the drone show. We go score a touchdown. That was the moment where I'm like, all right, the vibe's picking up in the stadium. This place is ready to erupt, and that's where I was frustrated we didn't capture it. But maybe I should be more frustrated with whoever signed up for only one drone show. Should have just been a drone show every 4-minute commercial timeout that we had.
How much do you think that costs for like a 5-minute drone show?
I was going to say those things aren't cheap. We actually just went to one down here in Houston a couple weeks ago. I can imagine those are not cheap.
Maybe Magic Johnson provided it. I will say and I don't know if this is strictly a Michigan State problem, but there needs to be something done with some of the concourses, and they need to expand them somehow. Pre-game, when we were going up into the seats and the beer line, like if you get there at the wrong time, you are just not moving many places. There's people everywhere. There's just not a lot of room to operate down there. They need to figure something out with that. But I will say, I kind of strategically try and play around that in terms of just go down and at a strategic time. But I know for a lot of people, they want to go at halftime. But that will be something that I hope the university expands on. And I think they are planning on it at some point. But that was one thing game atmosphere that I think needs to be changed. All right. What else do we want to talk about? I know we weren't we didn't get to watch a ton of football this weekend, and specifically Saturday, strictly because we did have you're trying to play a TV, and at some point there was just the generator, just there was too much getting hooked up to that.
The generator was begging for mercy. The Indiana team.
That generator was limping home after that.
I mean, I would say we haven't done the stock up, stock down in a while, but for me, I mean, I don't know how much higher you can put Indiana on your stock up if you don't have them as number one. Like what they did to UCLA, wow. That's all I can say is wow. And then
they don't play Ohio State, do they?
No.
Dang, it'd be a good game.
And the second team I was going to say was A&M, another team. Like if I don't know how much higher you can put them, but what they did to LSU for the final nail in Brian Kelly's coffin, that was impressive.
You keep kind of waiting for A&M to falter, and they haven't done it yet. So I'm give them all the credit. I don't know. I mean, Utah absolutely smoked Colorado. I don't know if you saw. I think the final stats. I think Colorado had minus 19 total yards, something like that. Basically, all off sack yards.
Excuse me.
Hold on, I got it.
When we got back to Grayson's house, Higbee,
That was
I know
a lie.
you fell asleep right away, but it was 43-0 at halftime. That game went off quickly.
I think they had minus 19 at halftime because it ended with like 120 yards, but nonetheless, that was an absolute asshole thing.
It can always get worse.
It can.
Stock up, stock down in the Big Ten for me. I would agree. Tyler, to your point, I don't know how much higher you can put Indiana. Iowa. I would like to send a shout out to Iowa. They have played really good football over the last what feels like month. They just took Minnesota out 41-3.
Took him out back and gave him a spanking.
Yeah,
oh gosh.
We that's a team that we are now 4.5-point underdogs to, and listen, I don't think Minnesota is an awful team, but they have I feel like they have a floor that they're not hitting, but Yeah, 41-3. I mean, Iowa, I think, has been very impressive for the most part. Gronowski feels like he's kind of found his rhythm in that offense, which, I mean, in that offense, he had 135 passing yards. So don't really know what you go with there, but sometimes that's all you need at Iowa. They listen to this total yard discrepancy and tell me if the final score matches up with it. Ready? 274 to 133, and they scored 41 points.
How do they do that?
Granted, Minnesota had 3 turnovers, so that doesn't help anything. And Iowa also had a punt return for a touchdown, and a pick six. So that's how you get there.
That's how you get there right there.
But that's classic. That's like classic Iowa too. Is they just suffocate you, similar to kind of Michigan does, and their defense capitalizes. One more, also Washington stock up.
That was going to be my next one.
They took care of Illinois, 42-25. They're sneaky. How many teams do you think are still alive for the playoff in the Big Ten? Like realistically,
for the playoff. I mean, you have Oregon, Indiana, Ohio State.
Yep, they're locks.
You have those 3.
Like if Iowa wins out and goes 10-2, and they play, let's see here.
I think you got 6.
You have Michigan, Nebraska, Washington, and Iowa all at 6-2.
Buddy,
yeah, geez.
Iowa gets Oregon at home, not this weekend, next weekend. Like if they win that game, they have Oregon, USC. Like if they win out, Oregon, USC, us, Nebraska. If they somehow win out, go 10-2 with the win over Oregon on the road at USC, I think they are on the fringe. But I think it's going to be hard pressed for the Big Ten to get a 4th team. Like unless SC wins out, Michigan wins out with the win over Ohio State. I think Nebraska's done. But it's got to be one of those 2-loss teams in the Big Ten, which there are a decent amount of. I mean, Washington's 2-loss, Nebraska's 2-loss. I think they're completely out of it, but USC and Michigan and Iowa. I think there's 4 teams that if they somehow win out, they're going to have a chance.
Yeah, I mean, even if you have 3 teams in there, but you have the number 1 and 2 ranked teams in the country, I like the Big Ten's chances.
I agree. This is probably the weakest I feel like we've been, or the conference has been as a whole. Like after the top 3, traditionally it's felt like we have 3 to 4, maybe 5, but this year it does not feel like that. It's 3 and there's a drop.
Locks.
All right. Locks. Brian, you go because yours won again. This guy is on a generational heater right now.
The analytics strike again. Not a 3 time zone change, only a 2 time zone change, but still a Midwest team traveling out to the West Coast. Washington beats Illinois by I think 14-ish, somewhere around there, and cover. So I think I'm 6-1-2 on the season.
Yep, 2. You have more pushes than you do losses.
That's insane.
Tyler, what about you?
Well, mine lost again. I had U of H and Arizona State, I believe. The over certainly didn't hit, but we were talking about it before we started recording. I told you guys I did like the Michigan State over, but I got talked out of it. It hit for what it's worth. That was my original one, but still just not my year. But I did have my best week in pick'em this week.
Did you?
8-2.
Okay.
Proud of you. You are now 2-7 on the year. I had LSU against Texas A&M. Obviously, that one lost and caused Brian Kelly to get fired. I thought it would be a kitchen sink game for LSU at home at night against an A&M team that Brian, you said it. I keep waiting for them to falter, and they're just not. I still think they're going to lose a game that they probably shouldn't. I mean, they almost did the week before against Arkansas. But Elko's a good coach. I think they are legit.
They got to go to Missouri next week, and then the last one against Texas. They're not losing to Samford, and they have maybe South Carolina at home.
I still don't know if they're a national title contender. Like I don't know what will get me over that hump. Maybe it's just the stigma around Texas A&M not coming through in big moments, but I still don't know if I'd put them on that tier of Ohio State, Indiana, and even Alabama. I'd be really interested in the SEC title game, A&M against Bama, but Ohio State too, man. I don't know what to do with them. Like we were talking about it, I think on Friday night when we were at Crunchies. It's the least amount I've ever seen like a team that everyone universally is saying is the best team in the country play football.
Yeah.
I honestly have not seen them once on TV this year. I mean, granted, I've been busy. It's like when I do get to watch games, I find a time to watch Michigan State, but I haven't just casually had the Buckeyes on the TV yet this fall.
It doesn't help that they haven't had an actual good game outside of the first one of the season.
Yeah, and they don't until Michigan on the last game of the year.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you looked at the schedule and you circled the Penn State game this weekend, but I mean, Penn State's about to be 0-5 in the conference too. Like this is nobody could have seen this coming. But all right, well let's wrap it here. We're getting late on a Monday night. Heading back from EL, so we had to delay the recording here by a day. Regardless, Michigan State 3-5. Minnesota, if they can find any way to turn it around, they have to start absolutely right now. With the bye week coming up, that could be a week where changes could be made if changes do not happen on the field. And so we'll see. We'll preview the Minnesota game coming up. Until next time, go green.